Any other questions?
So, we have with us 3 writers and 3 scientists. Now, the 3 writers visited the laboratories of the 3 scientists and were inspired there by what they saw to write 3 really quite short stories, exploring, their thoughts, their ideas, extrapolation from what it was that they saw. So what we're going to do is we're going to hear the stories, and then we're going to have a discussion about the stories and the science.
And after the shower, Soraya continued to worry about Colin. He functioned on biomass, and when she'd first got him, he could run for a week on the electricity generated by half a dozen flies. Now, he seemed to require much more in the midst of a national energy crisis. And they didn't get flies in their living space these days. She used to wake up to bird song and occasionally spot squirrels skipping up the trees. Now, it was silent and animal-free all around. Colin joined her for the meal, but did not.
He works tirelessly with all the fury of his life, for the people who dragged him to safety all those years ago, for the ones who saved him from the refugee camp, for the doctors and scientists who gave him back his arms, better arms than he had had before. Like a superhero, the woman who had fitted his first prosthetic arms had said, when he was a boy. It had been a kindness then, a generous deception, but now it's true. His arms are bionically powered. He is part machine. He lifts a section of wall it would normally take 2 men to lift and angrily throws it away.
We need to ask you a few questions about your robot. What a pompous policeman. I correct him. She's got a name, Delassa. Madam, says the policeman, please let me do the talking. I pull her closer. There's a piece of soft robot peeking out from her power pouch. Shit, he's noticed too. Your neighbour's robot has gone missing, he says, staring at her pouch. Really? Yes. He scans it with one of those intrusive police devices. A breach of robot rights, if you ask me. That is your neighbour's robot, he says, pointing. I hold her hand. She likes that.
Just maybe if you guys, any of you wanted to talk about the disconnect between the representation of technology as negative, that seems to be kind of pushed at us a lot, and the actuality of technology as improving our lives.
One of the reasons I really wanted to do something like this was to sort of give that opportunity to be talked about stuff. But so that was one of the things that was really important for me about this. Yeah. was we can have that conversation. If it opens up a debate, Alan can say, well, actually, yeah, that's all very well, Stephen, but X, Y, and Z means, and all that sort of thing.
I mean, the first thing that I'd like to share with everyone is the fact that pretty much all of the technologies that Stephen mentioned exist in the lab. So we do have artificial whiskers, we have artificial fingertips. In fact, Antonia has worked on those artificial fingertips. And perhaps more dramatically, we have robots that eat food.
Just generally, as we go forward, and we do have this kind of idea that things will run out, and the tendency to think that tech will solve everything. So I know it's not just about robots, but I just wondered if we could get a discussion going about that.
There is this optimism about technology and this belief in technology that can solve all our problems. And quite often, maybe because of science fiction writers, we're always thinking that
Elon Musk.
And Elon Musk, that we can do more than we can actually do now. And I think climate change is a perfect example, that you get all of these articles saying that we can solve this with technology. There's no technology that exists right now that can solve climate change.
But I think technology, the damage, yes, it has been done, and it will be continuing worse. But the technology is here to help, and will be here to help, hopefully.
What other things are there? Social things? Things that have to do with the decisions that people make about their technologies and not about the invention of the new technologies themselves, that we're not imagining, that we can't think about. And what are we doing, either as scientists or as creative people, to open and to stretch our imagination, open up our imagination to imagine those things?
So the more diversity you have is more important, and
Absolutely right, yes.
and we tried, of course, to encourage people, but I think it's also part of society to encourage women and allow women in a and also men in the like more feminine and women in the more like masculine stereotypes that we have, and see that as a normal thing.